Good afternoon, everybody. It's Sherwin from Unima, Trinidad and Tobago. And today we have a special guest, Mr. Bill Barretta. Bill Barretta began performing with the Jim Henson Company in 19... Oh, there he is, Bill. I was reading your bio.
Hey, there's some timing. I don't know how I came on. Somehow I got me on here. I don't know.
Hey, and
How
we're
are
glad
you?
to have you.
Thank you. Are you on right now?
We're on. We're recording.
Oh, you're recording, but are you
Yeah,
live?
yeah. I'm not live. I'm not live.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be quiet while you do your intro if you like.
That's fine. Well, I was reading, and now I'll be a little bit nervous. Well, back to it. Bill Barretta
Wait,
began.
hold on. Wait, I'll do this. How about if I go? Let me see. What if I go like that? Wait,
Oh,
there.
oh, there you go.
See,
Okay,
now I won't be watching you.
okay. Bill Barretta began performing with the Jim Henson Company in 1991, landing the lead character of Earl Sinclair on the ABC hit television series Dinosaurs, and would soon become one of the leading Core Muppet performers. His characters include Pepe the King Prawn, Johnny Fiama, Big Mean Carl, and Bobo the Bear, to name a few. In addition, Bill Barretta is honored to carry on several of Jim Henson's beloved creations, Rowlf the Dog, Swedish Chef, and Dr. Teeth. Over the last 30 years, Bill Barretta has also directed, executive produced, written, and coordinated many Muppet projects. To name a few: Muppet Treasure Island, Muppets Tonight, Muppets from Space, the Muppets 2011 feature, the Muppets 2015 ABC series, and the 2021 Disney Halloween special, Muppets Haunted Mansion. In addition, countless appearances, talk shows, commercials, social media content, and live shows, including Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, James Corden, Long John Silver's, Pizza Hut, Subway, Lipton Tea, Toyota, Ham, Adidas, Geico, Muppet
Oh
Fest,
yeah.
Muppet Show Live, the Muppets Take Hollywood Bowl, Muppets Take the O2, and most recently co-star, writer, performer, and executive producer of the Muppets Mayhem. And it says here you're a nice Italian boy.
Hey, what can I tell
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's nice to meet you,
you?
Bill.
Nice to meet you. How
Yeah,
are you?
I've been on the fringes of Muppet things for quite some time. And you know
Yeah.
what? This is awesome to, meet you and
Oh,
chat
well, good.
about,
I'm glad.
yeah, your journey into puppets. So let me give
Oh,
you a little intro on what I do here.
yeah.
So I'm currently the Unima representative for Trinidad and Tobago. We are trying to basically start some kind of puppet community here.
Uh-huh.
And I've been looking and trying to find stories to encourage younger folks, older folks, anybody who's interested in puppetry to
Right.
get into puppetry.
Hmm.
I've met a lot of people through the O'Neill and the Los Angeles Guild of Puppetry, and they've been gracious to me. And so far, I've done 2 episodes before this. The first one was with Mr. Craig Shemin. We love Craig.
Oh yeah.
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 And I
Such a miserable human being.
sometimes it gets like that when you get away.
Yeah.
I
No, he's always like that. He's
really
always like that. Oh
oh,
yeah. Terrible person.
and I did, and then last week I did an episode with Kurt Hunter, and I have to continue to edit that,
Hmm.
post it. Um, so yeah, so here we are. I'm just
Great.
trying to hear
So
everybody's.
where are you? Where
I'm
are
in
you located?
Trinidad and Tobago in the
You
Caribbean.
are.
Yeah,
Wow.
mhm,
That's amazing. How
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Well, now
That's
I feel like I'm there.
yeah. If it wasn't Zoom, I'd show you outside.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, cool.
I'll do it later on Facebook chat. You get that. I like showing people
Okay.
my backyard. You like it. Um, yeah. So we want to hear a lot about you. We're gonna talk about
Okay.
you. We're gonna talk about me. We're gonna talk about that really cool Dr. Teeth in the back there.
Oh,
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah.
That was a gift.
Mhm.
Now I feel terrible because I can't remember her name, but she made Matt Vogel reached out to her
Uh-huh.
and she made each of the core performers for the band their
Right.
character.
I
And
think I
so
saw that.
do you see that? Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's the Dr. Teeth that she made. It's
yeah.
really great.
It is.
Beautiful.
Is it a
Yeah,
puppet or is it
sweet.
like a
No, it's a doll.
oh, and it's
Yeah.
amazing. I saw. Lips. I think Peter Linz posted Lips, right? I think
I think so. I
that's
don't
the
know.
first one I saw. Yeah, you posted it to his social media. You don't social
Right?
media a lot, do you?
Not a ton.
Yeah,
No.
no, no, no.
Facebook occasionally, every
Yeah.
once in a while. It just depends if something motivates me,
Yeah.
I'll go check things out. But yeah,
Okay. So I'll get right down to it. You know,
yeah.
when did you decide you wanted to be a puppeteer? Was that something you like, when I grow up, I want to be a puppeteer?
No, no, not at all.
Oh.
I really had no dreams or goals of being a puppeteer. I always wanted to entertain and perform. That was my dream, was to be an actor and entertainer. Ever since I was a little kid, something I always loved. And my older brother Gene, thank goodness for him, encouraged that. So he was always creating the things that we were going to do with our
Mhm.
lives, which involved making movies, home movies, and all kinds of things. He would just music, and so I was always in some way a part of that. And I have a very entertaining family. They're my grandfather, my uncles and aunts, and all. There was always a party when our family got together, and we always did shows. I have back then when I was a kid, there were 9 cousins. It increased a little more over the years from our kind of immediate family, my mother's brothers.
Mhm.
I have cousins out in California, but back east where I grew up, there were 9 of us, and that was usually the shows that we would do. There would be 9 of us, and it was like a variety show. There was acrobatics, and then there was a sketch where I was dressed up like a woman, and my cousin was my husband, and we would go buy a car, and he'd get in trouble. It was like always these really fun, entertaining things. And then at some point, my brother wanted to make puppets. He wrote to Jim Henson. I've told this story a lot, but he wrote to Jim to ask how to make a Muppet, and Jim sent instructions back. This is like back in the 70s. And he pursued that. And I kind of went along for the ride on that. And we would do puppet shows a little bit for our family, Sunday party. And then our aunt, our Aunt Kathy, was a deaf mute teacher. And we used to go to their school and we would perform shows there. Which I always was fascinated by the idea. Back then, we had these big, huge speakers, right? And we would put them. They would put them on the facing the floor so
Mhm.
that the children could feel the vibrations of the music, right? Because they couldn't
Mhm.
hear it. And so all of our routines were to music and
Mhm.
confetti and things blowing up, and just like Jim kind of used
Mhm.
to do. But no, I certainly didn't have a plan on being a puppeteer. I wanted to be an actor, and I went and studied uh, acting. I took some classes in Philadelphia with a teacher named Sidney Kay, and he was a student teacher of one of the most famous acting teachers in the world, which is a man named Sanford Meisner. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Meisner technique or not. Um, but this was one of the students of the great Stanislavski. Stanislavski was the Russian acting, god, right?
Mhm.
And there were students of his who then went on to create something called the Group Theater in New York, which was Sanford Meisner, Stella Adler, another famous teacher, if people want to look them up, Lee Strasberg. I know I'm missing somebody. Anyway, they went on to kind of create their version of Stanislavski, right? By focusing on different things, being more specific on the things they believed in and thought is what motivates great actors or creates great actors. And so I went from that teacher to a place called the Neighborhood Playhouse. And this is where this man, Sanford Meisner, created his school in New York. And I actually got to study with him for 2 years. He was I think 88 years old at the time. He wasn't the only teacher there, but there were other teachers. But to be in his presence was quite an amazing thing. And
Mhm.
he taught so many famous people, big stars. And anyway, so that's what I was headed for, was studying to be an actor. And through that, I ended up doing a show called Dinosaurs. I feel like I'm talking way too long for one
No,
question.
no.
And so I had moved out to California, and I auditioned for a show called Dinosaurs through connections that I had from my childhood with Brian Henson. And fortunately, I got to play the dad. I was inside of the big suit on the show Dinosaurs. And sorry, just to go back to that acting thing. So my acting training was the Meisner technique is all about interpreting dialogue through your behavior, right? So you look at a script, you learn it by rote, and then you're supposed to forget about it. And so that you're in the moment, that what you're doing should be translating the emotion and the feelings and the words of a scene. It all rides on top of your doing, right? And what you're being, and how you're reacting moment to moment. And so this job, my first big job, was exactly what I was doing. I was interpreting the dialogue because I didn't say the dialogue. Somebody else was operating Earl's head and doing the dialogue. I was interpreting the behavior as the dialogue came out and I could hear it. So I was kind of doing what I was taught to do in school, you know? And so I thought, okay, I'm still acting, you know, I'm still doing the acting thing. And then from Dinosaurs, I became friends with people and we started to hang out, and I was assisting puppeteers because I was working with the greatest puppeteers in the world, Dave Goelz and Steve Whitmire and Kevin Clash and all of these great performers, puppeteers. And so I started to Brian Henson, and I started to, you know, I was enjoying that. And little by little, they asked me to come and play on something else. You know, I went and did another thing. And then that just kind of turned into me pursuing it further and trying it and seeing if I could do this stuff, you know.
This, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
We make it sound like it's just this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I teach an introductory class to Muppet style puppetry or hand rod style puppetry, just to get people involved. And a lot of people like you get them at like this a minute, and they're like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Yeah,
oh yeah,
it's not just this, right?"
Yeah, well, and of course, people think the first thought is that you're trying to hold the puppet up with your arm. That's what I think everybody makes a big mistake, is that you're not really holding up with your arm because you need your arm to be loose. So what you're supporting it with is your back, you know, and your shoulders, and it's a different thinking process than when you initially step into it, right? You think, oh, how long can I hold my arm up? Well, it's not so much that, it's how long can you support your arm while you're doing these other things
and make this thing look alive.
Yeah, keep it alive and real.
Yeah, keep it alive. Yeah. Going back to you're talking about Dinosaurs, right? I was always curious because I was a kid when that premiered, and that was like the biggest thing in my whole life. Because like I remember they'd show it at 6 o'clock every evening in Trinidad. They'd show it after the news. It's at 6. Yeah, right after the news. And I had to do my homework if I wanted to look at that, and then Simpsons.
Oh yeah.
So I'd finish it. And I remember the first day that show came on, I was terrified because it's Earl like going through the forest and tearing everything apart. Now it's probably like 5. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. But I remember doing that.
Yeah, but when you got to it, it's like, hey, this is not that bad a TV show. Looking at it now, there's so much more to it. Like it's such a wholesome TV show. And like I wouldn't think about that when I was a kid because the puppetry behind it is what got me anyway.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
And the creatures, right? That's probably what drew you to it. Yeah, I mean the stories are actually very they're very smart, they're clever, they're really they're a commentary on our lives, or how stupid we all are as people, you know, and as kids you don't think about that stuff.
No.
That's the adult level of it all. And that's what the Muppets do, you know. There are different levels. And so little kids love the colors and the shapes and the silliness. And the teenagers are looking for the cool factor, you know, and the adults are getting some of those jokes that some of the others aren't getting, you know. And so it's really an interesting challenge to want to make everyone feel like they're a part of it, you know, without saying I'm just making this for kids or this is just for adults. You kind of have to walk that line and figure out, you know what? Okay, maybe this joke isn't for kids, but it's not offensive.
No.
You know, and so you can still do the joke, but you've got to trust that a parent is going to decide what they think is best for their children. That's not up for me to decide.
No.
You know,
But it was fun to like really like get into it, because when I started watching the Barretta brothers podcast, you guys like really dissected that for us, and
the Dinosaurs show, you mean?
Yeah,
that one, or just the
Dinosaurs show, but you had like a couple episodes you did with that, and
we had two.
So like getting to see that you know how very big that suit was, like compared to you at that age. How old were you at that age? Well, back then.
I was 25, I think.
All right, so you're a young, 25. Strong man to be carrying that giant suit.
I thought I was. I thought I was strong. I tried. You know, I think I was compressed a few inches from the weight of the head. I think I got a little shorter. My legs are really strong to this day. But yeah, no, I was definitely more youthful and was well. And plus, you know, this was a big deal. This was really my first big gig. You know, and so I was going to do anything. I just wanted to be near it. You know, when Brian Henson came out to California to make the show, I was waitering and doing that and trying to find work. And I said, you know, I'll pull cables or I don't care. I'll sweep the floors. I just want to be near it, you know?
I think we all say things like that.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You want to get close to it and however you can. And so fortunately, Brian said, look, you would have to be inside of this ridiculously heavy thing. And it's very, you know, confined. I don't know if that's something you'd be interested in. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I don't care. Yeah. I'm sure, you know. So it worked out.
Yeah, it sure did. And I guess, you know, you pay your dues, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You work hard.
Absolutely.
And I saw a clip with you weren't wearing the head, but you were dancing. And you were dancing the hell out of that suit. And I was there. And I'm looking at it, it seems like such an easy movement, but I can see how much effort, because I can see your face and I can see how much effort it took for you to jump in that suit and stuff. And do some crazy stuff sometimes. He was a real, you know.
Oh yeah. No, it was definitely it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
And small things too, like you know, I couldn't see. Yeah. Right. It's not like I had a window that I could see through or a monitor in there. The only time I could see is when the mouth would open.
Oh.
So a lot of what I would do when I would rehearse is I would do it with my eyes closed so that I could remember kind of just by, you know, feeling and distance where things were. But while he's talking, I could get glimpses, and that certainly helped a lot. But when he's just sitting there and he has to like grab a cigar or something, it was about sense memory, you know, kind of thing. And so that was challenging too. Aside from the weight, it was just challenging to be in this darkness. So I was able to communicate. I could talk to my puppeteer and I could hear everybody. We could all hear each other. It was crazy, actually. It was pretty crazy. Yeah, that show's good. That Barretta Brothers show is, the Barretta Brothers show is actually really informative. There's a lot of people on there that really give some great insight to what it was all about.
Well, I'll tell you, for me, I recently, in the last 3 years or so, kind of delved into puppetry again and started taking it seriously. As a kid, I was always interested in it. As a teenager, I started building puppets and stuff. And then life happens. You get older, you go to work, you do other things.
Sure.
And in 2019, it was Christmas. My sister and I were just randomly having a chat. And I said to her, you know, it'd be fun if Henson Company would peel the doors open like Willy Wonka and let you go inside. And while saying that, I was holding my phone. And the damn thing listens to you, I think. I swear, Google listens to you.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm scrolling on Instagram, and when I scroll the stories up, there's Brian Henson and his assistant, Gigi, saying, hey, we're doing Puppet Up on the lot. in January. You should give the gift to your friend, yada yada yada. So I'm looking at her, she's looking at me like, that's fate. You got to do it.
Wow.
So
Wow.
dropped everything I was doing, booked the flight to LA for that weekend in
Oh, you
January.
did?
Yeah.
Did you do the workshop
I
with
didn't do
them?
the workshop. They did pop it up.
Oh, right.
So I wish I could have done the workshop last
Yeah,
year,
yeah.
the year before. Yeah, but hey,
Right.
what you gonna do? So we went, my wife and I, we went out there. We saw pop it up. We got the tour of the studios, and that was it. Like I was like, oh my God, this is everything, and this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be.
So you was the show at the Henson lot? Is that
Yeah,
where it was?
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
lot, isn't it? Yeah.
I think, and I think that it just encapsulated the magic of Hollywood for me, actually. Like you felt that, like Sunset
Well,
does
yeah.
that to you.
The spirit of
Yeah,
Charlie Chaplin is
yeah,
there.
yeah.
You know.
It is, and I told my wife that I was like I don't know if you feel it, but you can feel that energy. There's so much creative spirit and energy on that lot. Like, wow.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think the bug bit me. I came home, the pandemic hit, and I was like, what am I gonna do with myself now? Because a lot of people were working from home. Um,
Yeah.
for me, I work in the energy sector here, so it's like we work a shift system, and and it was like just us going to work along with like regular people like police officers and stuff. So hey,
Right. Huh.
there's a lot of nothing to do outside of that, and I started going down the rabbit hole,
Right.
looking for puppet stuff to do online, and got into contact with the LA Guild of Puppetry, and then the O'Neill, and it all snowballed into me finding you now.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, so
Wow.
like
Yeah, well that's how the Barretta Brothers thing came out
yeah,
was
because
because of the
yeah,
COVID.
and that was like a learning experience for me. So that show actually like connected a lot of things for me. So you guys would talk about things, and I'd look for it, and I'd
Oh right.
continuously look for stuff, and then find people.
Oh
And
cool.
yeah, so it and I must say that Gina's been helpful to me for the past 3 years. Um,
Another terrible human being.
I I would like to say it, but I won't.
So I'm so sorry for you that you have to deal
No,
with him.
no, Gene is the greatest. I wanna do an entire episode with Gene. Yeah, yeah, just for
Yeah, for
Gene.
sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
just for
that's a
Gene.
good one. Believe me.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's an amazing artist, and he's the greatest big brother ever. He's like the most supportive big brother ever. Like
Yeah.
he reminds me of my big brother when I was young. You as a kid, you look up to your big brother. He's like, hey, he's everything. My big brother taught me how to play guitar.
Uh-huh.
He's artsy just like me to a point. And he'd encourage that. He'd encourage, your drawing and art and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And he'd do things with me that, like, at some point in time, I wanted to be, a comic artist. And he took me to like the one convention that they had in Trinidad. He's like, I'll take you.
Oh
He took me
wow.
there, he spent the day with me. He had fun.
It's
Yeah.
interesting. How old are you?
I'm 35. I'll be 35 this
35?
year. Uh-huh.
Right. So
Yeah.
you know, I mean we're 20 years apart or plus some, but
Yeah.
as kids we did things I think I learned more by doing. My
Hmm.
brother getting us to do
Yep.
things. Then I think, unfortunately, and I'm not trying to be the boomer and put this down or anything, but people are so consumed with the internet and their world
Uh-huh.
that I worry sometimes that maybe, they're missing the experience, the live experience,
Hmm.
right? And I just, I don't know how you change that. I don't know what that is exactly, or do you, not change it? Maybe it's how it's all supposed to be. But I just think that was such an important part of me growing up
Hmm.
was learning from my brother by doing things and
Hmm.
not just talking about it or sending each other a message and saying,
Hmm.
this is what I think, you know?
But I mean, I think as humans or as living creatures, that's how you learn.
Yeah.
In the animal kingdom, that's how you learn, right? That's
Yeah.
yeah, and
It's a connection.
it's a natural thing.
Yeah.
Your parent teaches the older sibling teaches you, and that's how
Right.
it goes. And I think it's not dead. Honestly, I think it's not dead. It's just that we have to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
As old, yeah.
I think we're going in a very kind of almost opposite direction. It just has to come back. I think we have to find the balance
Hmm.
of both. I think people are going to get, if they aren't already,
Hmm.
are going to get hungry for that
Yeah.
connection to people
Mhm.
outside of their little world, you know.
And coming out of the pandemic, a lot of it has happened, like in Trinidad live theater is a big thing. And that they could go back and go to their theaters and do shows and stuff. You see a lot
Right.
happening now, and it's great to see that.
Yep.
Even with
Yep.
puppets, like the first workshop I did, it was basically like two young people and the rest of like people in their 20s and 30s, and then the rest of
Mm.
people that were there were people that were older than you and older than me. They're
Right.
retired, but they wanted something to do. They were creative people, but they
Yeah.
they, they yearned for that human interaction to get in, to
Yep.
start something new, to try something new.
And that's
And
what they're used to. That's the
yeah,
lifestyle
yeah.
they've been used to, and that's what
And
they
they
grew up
had
with. And
so much fun. And I mean, they were like just as in it as everybody else, everybody was
right,
in it
sure.
doing the monitor practice. They were there. And and
Right.
and I was in shock. I was like, hey, when I'm 72 years old, I'd love to be as vibrant and energetic as that. But
Right.
afterwards, they said like we were tired. It was hard keeping up with you guys, but just being there, doing this is what they needed. It helps, it helps. It was fun. It was
Yeah.
it was like a breath of fresh air. And you know what?
Yeah, that's great.
I'll continue to do it. I'll keep doing it,
Yep.
because it's what it needs to be. And
Yeah.
we sidetracked a lot. We didn't get back to talking much about
Oh, it's okay.
Bill. Yeah.
Oh no, I prefer not, but whatever you want to do, it's up to you.
Ah, I mean, it's based on conversation between you and I anyway. You know,
Good.
it's
Yep.
good. Yeah, it's good. I just get lost in talking to you, and I'm trying not to be a fangirl.
No, no, we're
Yeah,
just talking.
yeah,
Whatever,
yeah,
it's all good.
yeah. I'm just messing with you. So, yeah, let me ask you some. I have some structured questions that I have to ask. So let me ask.
What if I'm going to give you really boring answers? Go ahead.
Nah, I doubt it. So
Don't ask me who's my favorite character to
I'll never
perform.
ask that. I'll never ask that. So coming from that object, well, that movement style puppetry from Dinosaurs, moving into Muppet style.
Mm,
I know you did Muppets Night, which was something so phenomenal that rolled off from where the Muppet Show left off to now.
mm.
I think I wanted to see more of that. I still yearn for more of that. I love
Me
that
too.
bit, that point of the Muppets where they were a little more late night, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and the genius of like the things Brian does and how different it is and still the same to what Jim does,
Hmm.
I know the both of you had a lot of like interaction with that and input with that, and I like
Yeah.
seeing that it got a little raunchy, or a little closer to like the stuff that Jim would do in the early years.
A little naughty. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a little naughty, and I like that. And I like that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I can't remember what my question is. Oh, no. Okay, great.
Oh,
So back to what that question was.
yeah.
Transitions from bodies, movements, all that to structured stuff. From
Hmm.
getting that Johnny Fiama to do this. Where'd that come from?
What did he do? What is that?
So I was talking to Tyler Bunch last year at the O'Neill, and he said that
Yeah,
one time he had to stand in for you
yeah,
as Johnny Fiama. And
yeah,
he said that he tried to get the puppet to do what you did. And afterwards, he said that you moved the mouth because there was like a split like in the mouth board that you would
yeah.
move just your thumb to move that bit. Because he had bits that he would do and just his bottom lip would move.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know what that is, to
I
be
got
honest.
I
Other
got
than
oddly specific there, right?
no, no, it's fine. I'm just trying to imagine what he means because, and maybe I'm just not remembering the way the puppet operated. But I tend to try and do more with my thumb, and maybe that's what
Mhm.
he's talking about. I don't do a lot of that
Yeah. Mhm,
type
mhm,
of puppetry, which
mhm,
is a style and certainly
mhm,
is the Muppet style.
mhm,
But I tend to go a little more simple, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just I feel more comfortable there.
mhm,
Maybe it's part of my acting.
mhm,
Simple. I try to think of keep it simple, keep it real.
mhm.
Don't get too big because I think if you're too big all the time, you've got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
right? If I'm grounded and I feel real, just depending on and who knows what the scene is or what you're doing, but generally it's like an acting lesson for me. That's how I always think of it. Acting came first for me. So when I started doing puppets, it was a challenge to get the technical side down, right? The logistics of all of that, well, making sure the composition of the frame looks good with you there, and that you're looking at the right people, and you've got your dialogue that's all taped around the monitors, and you're trying to do a scene, and then you're doing this character. It was really hard. And so for a while, I think I fortunately had some training period between Dinosaurs and Muppets Tonight, which allowed me to kind of find a way to bring the two together, right? Because for a while it became just all about this and making sure that all this was good, all this technical. Then I had to kind of stop thinking about that and try and just focus on the character. Because to me, that's what drives all of this, right? And so I'd say from 94, it's funny, I was just looking at, with my wife, we were just talking about when did I do the animal show and what was the progression of some things. And I think the first thing I did after Dinosaurs was a home video, Fairy Tale Theater, I think, Muppets Fairy Tale Theater, I think it was called. And I did kind of my first character on my own. I wasn't assisting. I did an Elvis elf, and he was kind of the lead singer for these elves and the shoemaker. And it was a big deal. I remember it was my first time I worked next to Frank Oz, and I felt like I was in a Muppet thing, and then from there, I guess I did the animal show, or at least the first season. And that was a huge training ground. Have I veered way off topic here? Okay. So the animal show was huge because I had to do so many different characters. And it was like, I teased Jim Lewis and I, one of the Muppet writers for years, an amazing guy. We always talk about it was like a conveyor belt of characters, because the pace of the show and how we had to shoot it was very fast. And so my training ground was get in there and do it. And I learned from Dave Goles and Steve Whitmire and Mac Wilson and Louise Gold and Karen Prell and, all these great performers, Mike Quinn. I got a chance to really hone my stuff with them, and then I felt more comfortable about doing Clueless Morgan, my first character in Muppet Treasure Island, which is my first movie, right? And after we finished the movie, towards the end is when Brian was developing the new show, and so we did workshops while we were still in England, where they just had a rack of puppets, and we would grab one. And Frank Oz would just kind of interview us in front of the camera, and we'd just start making shit up, and that's where Johnny came out of. That's where Pepe came out of. That's where Howard Tubman came out of. The characters, not the puppets, because they weren't built yet. And that then Muppets Tonight was like, I just felt like I had a place to really play and not worry so much. I'm still technically not great. And so even though I had to technically make sure I was on top of things, I had a lot of support around me, Kevin Clash and, all these other people there that were supporting me and saying, yeah, no, that's good. Or try this, maybe you should do that. Or, but for character, I felt like I had a great place to play finally. And I think that's, I do. I love that show. I'm glad you like it. I had a great time doing it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was like the Muppet Show of my time, like the Muppets Tonight was we knew the Muppet Show because we got those reruns all the time. Till this day, if that local station has nothing to show, they would like throw a old Muppet Show episode on. Yeah. I don't know if they can still do that, but who knows?
I don't know. Muppets Tonight is
Not
not
Mupp-
available
Not
yet.
Muppets Tonight, Muppet Show, the Muppet
No, no,
Show.
but
Yeah.
I guess I'm saying
Oh.
I think
Oh,
you
yeah.
could probably do the Muppet Show unless it has to be. No, maybe not because it has to go through Disney Plus now, probably. But even like Muppets Tonight isn't on Disney Plus
No.
because there's a lot of still things to work out with licensing of music and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
But they'll get there soon, I hope. But it's funny, we don't get we get
so.
Disney Plus here. We don't get the Muppet Show on Disney Plus.
No way.
Yeah, we don't get the Muppet Show on Disney Plus. We get everything else,
What?
everything modern, everything else. Yeah, yeah. It's
Do you
weird.
get any Muppet stuff?
We get all the other Muppet stuff, just not the Muppet Show.
What?
There are funny things. Yeah, for a while we didn't get Dinosaurs. Now we get Dinosaurs.
I wonder.
I don't know.
Why that
I don't know
is.
why. I don't know if it's a copyright thing with the territories in the Caribbean, but no Caribbean countries get it.
But if you have other things, do you have Muppets Haunted Mansion?
Yeah, everything else.
Then why?
I don't know.
I don't get it. Something's amiss.
Something's amiss. You know.
We'll have to get to the bottom of it, sure.
Yeah, you get to you're the guy.
I will. I'm going to ask. Actually,
yeah. I get it. It's weird. Like
I will.
I have to fool my television into doing that with a VPN. I'm not supposed to say that.
So it would be, what territory would it be? Trinidad?
Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean.
Tobago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask somebody.
And I mean, for us, like we consume a lot of television and TV. Yeah, we consume too much.
Well, you have everything else. I don't
Yeah.
get why you wouldn't have that.
It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like yeah. So
Muppets Mayhem, you have that.
I have. Yeah, I was going to ask you a question in the last.
Oh, sorry.
In the last
Yeah.
episode about that, when Leslie Cora Rudolph's character, I can't remember her name.
Penny.
Penny. Yeah. When Penny was eating those peppers and said, "These are Trinidad scorpion peppers," I was like, "Hey, I see you. You know." I was like, "Where did that come from?" It was like, I don't know if you know, like, where did that come from?
I don't know. I think I didn't come up with that line. It could have been, I don't know who came up with that specifically. I'm going to guess it's probably Jeff Yorks or something like that. I mean, is there a real Trinidadian scorpion pepper?
Yes, that's a real thing.
Okay. Okay, well, that's what I thought. So it's just based on a real, somebody must have Googled what's the hottest pepper possible, or something.
It's between the scorpion pepper and the ghost pepper in the States.
And the ghost pepper.
Yeah.
Right.
But
I think it was just I think it was what's the worst, hardest, hottest possible thing she could be not affected by. And I think that's where it came from.
If you did have a real scorpion pepper that was cut on set, you guys could stay there.
Oh no.
No,
those were all
sit around. Yeah, I know that's a prop, but if the real thing, it messes with you.
Bad,
really
right?
bad.
Oh man,
real bad. And people
my wife might like it though.
Yeah.
She loves hot peppers.
Maybe, but I'll tell you.
And my son too. He would try.
It's like for me, it's unbearable, and I like hot stuff. That's how bad it is. But it's a diamond in the rough, I think.
Yeah,
some
right.
people like it, some people don't.
Yeah,
but
Penny loves it. Apparently,
for me, I think it could be because Lily Singh is big here. She's big in Trinidad. She's an honorary Trinidadian. Like we love her here.
Oh, that's great.
She comes over here for carnival and stuff, so she's popular here. So I'm thinking maybe that was a bit of her influence in there. Like I'll throw that in there for my Trinity people.
I'd love to say yes, but
probably not.
But no, it was definitely from the writer's room. Yeah.
It's awesome though. It's awesome that like hey, like it's in there. I like when like one time my wife and I were looking at Seinfeld episodes, and they had an episode where we were talking like where Elaine made a Trinidadian athlete oversleep, so he missed his race, and it was funny. Like, hey,
right.
When you get into those pop culture references, and we're like a tiny little. If you know where we are, we're at the end of the Caribbean, the very end.
It's amazing.
So like it's the tip of Venezuela, and then Trinidad is like here.
Wow.
Yeah. We're like a speck of a country, and it's like, hey, I'm in there. It's good. I feel good. The universe is hearing.
Nice.
It's like getting out of Trinidad and into any kind of puppet situation internationally has been challenging, but still fun.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. You keep hanging in there.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
So tell me, legacy stuff. You do Rowlf and Dr. Teeth and all that. Besides, I know it's not like you do an impersonation of anything Jim does. The characters have become yours now. You carry them with your own, style now. Tell me, what was it like taking on stuff like that? Is it heavy? Like do people expect things of you? Like this is not how it's supposed to be done. This is how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people out there who don't think it's, the that it works or is right, but I guess I just when I started, it was of course scary because you don't know how people are going to react, and so I just tried at the time to kind of do my best impersonation. But as an actor, coming from that place where I'm always trying to come from that perspective, I try to think about the essence of the character, right? What does it feel like? Not so much what does it sound like, because
Yeah.
I can never sound exactly
No.
like Jim.
Mm-mm.
And I can also never really understand what feeds that character like Jim feeds that character,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a personal thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
something I could never do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in a way, you're doing kind of what I consider a bad impersonation at first, right? And you're trying to get close to it. But I think trying to get to that essence, and maintaining an integrity of what I've watched and studied and learned, and watching Jim on his own and hearing great stories from the other Muppet performers who watched him perform these characters. You try and take all those pieces and try to put them into that. And then, yes, as an actor, I think you then have to use parts of yourself. It's like a layer that's underneath all of that other stuff that you've been trying to pack on to this thing. And then underneath there somewhere is a little bit of me that helps drive it in all kinds of new, different situations that the characters have never experienced before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Rowlf maybe has never performed at the Hollywood Bowl. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
different feeling, when I go to do that. That's me there doing it, but it's still Rowlf. And how would Rowlf feel in that situation? And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of always where I come from,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. People probably go, oh, that doesn't sound so much like that, and that's probably not. That doesn't feel like that. But I guess over time, you have to just accept that it is what it is, and I'm just trying to. I hope I'm not hurting it in any way, or
No, I
making
don't
it
think
feel,
so. I don't
you
think
know,
so.
make
No,
it feel weird.
and I don't think it's like that with everyone. And I'll say something. For people my age, you are the Rolf we know. We know the
Hmm.
old stuff, but you're the Rolf we know. You're the Dr. Teeth we know. Just
Right,
like
right.
my wife always says that Steve is the Kermit she knows.
Of course.
Because that's who we grew up on. That's
Yep.
he's the Ernie we know. We know from when we were a kid. He's
Right.
the Kermit that we know.
Yep.
And
And so you can imagine when
yeah.
I came to the Muppets, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the year. Well, when I started Dinosaurs, that was the year after Jim passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So the only Kermit I ever knew was Jim.
Mm-hmm.
So my ear and my feeling about what Steve was doing, right, was just like the same way people must feel about Matt stepping in now that Steve isn't doing it.
Yeah.
The initial thing is like, whoa, wait a minute, where's my Kermit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And what Steve managed to do was, again, maintain the integrity and the feeling of that character and Jim's spirit.
Mm-hmm.
May not have sounded exactly like Jim,
No, but
but
it worked.
it's Kermit,
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's, like you said, a lot of people in that generation for 20 some years,
Mm-hmm.
I think almost maybe longer than Jim did it. If I think about
Probably.
it, I wonder if
Probably, yeah.
Steve did Kermit longer. I can't remember. Um, but a lot of people know that Kermit. And
Yeah.
so poor Matt now getting beat up, and,
Yeah.
people going, oh, and then there's people who love it.
Yeah.
Again, it's going to take time, I think, for people to
And
know that Kermit.
he has a lot on his shoulders because he does a lot of legacy characters, just like yourself. He does a lot of
Oh,
legacy
he
stuff.
does.
With
Yeah.
Big Bird and with the Count and Jerry's characters,
A lot of cherries.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's great that he's doing what he does, and I'm guessing it's really hard because I mean,
Oh my gosh. If
to
people knew.
get that from the public, like we don't like you, we don't like the way
Right.
that sounds, and
Right.
just gotta give it a chance, right?
Well, and I think
Yeah.
people who don't understand what it takes to
Hmm.
do it
Yeah.
only think of it as a voice,
Hmm.
right? And I mean, Frank Oz basically says 10% of the character is the voice.
Hmm.
10%,
Yeah.
right? The rest of it is about understanding who the character is and how he's motivated and how he would respond in these situations. And that's the character. The
Hmm.
voice, everybody can do their version of a Kermit the Frog,
Yeah.
but can they take that character and can they live within these situations that we create for them to be in
Hmm.
and do it very well? And I think Matt is finding and
Hmm.
is doing that,
Hmm.
and actually there are moments where I actually in my ear
Hmm.
he sounds closer to Jim sometimes than I think Steve did. It's
Yeah.
just
Hmm.
I hear that.
Because I guess it has to do a lot with, I guess, with similar voices and stuff, maybe, but I know, like, when I was a kid and we got that transition from Jim to Steve, and you heard you heard the old Sesame stuff, and then Muppet stuff, and then Muppets Tonight came on. It's like, it's there, it's
Mm,
Kermit, it's not Jim, but it's
yep,
Kermit, and
yep.
with,
An
yeah,
amazing
yeah,
Kermit. Like Steve was
yeah,
amazing.
he was,
Oh
he
my
was,
gosh.
he was,
Oh my gosh.
and it's I think it's gonna take some time, but he's there. He's doing it. He's
Yep.
yeah, and
Yep.
it's how the characters are gonna live. That's how they're gonna keep going on. That's how the Muppets are gonna be 100 years old someday.
That's
And
right.
yeah, because
Yeah.
how old are they now? They're over 60, right?
Yeah. Isn't that what it is? I think so. Yeah, they hit that
Yeah.
mark, I guess. I'm trying to
Hmm.
remember. Excuse me. I never know. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. I hope you cut that out.
That's okay.
I can't remember the actual year when, like, they say that Jim started
Hmm.
because it was, the early days in Washington.
Hmm.
So I think
Hmm.
that was in the 50s. So
Hmm.
must be 60 some
Yeah,
years.
yeah, they could be that old. I think Kermit once said, I think he said last year sometime he's 65 years old. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. Or this
Is
year.
that what he said?
Yeah.
All
Somewhere
right.
around there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was, yeah. So, could
Right.
be. So it's, it's something that we have to accept that, there is legacy there to carry on. And, the Muppets are like that. So
Yep.
let's get into some Muppets Mayhem things because that's
Okay.
what's on right now. Tell me what was the inspiration to do something that involved telling the story of the band, and where do these stories come from, because they're so good?
Sorry, wait. Repeat the first part of the question
So
for me.
where did the idea come from to, like, let's do a story about the band,
Ah,
let's focus on the band, like, where did that
okay. Okay. And actually, I'm just looking 1955. So the Muppets are 68 years old this year.
yeah.
Um, so where did that come from? Well, several places. We had done I hate to bore people with the same story, but I'll do the best I can to make it sound fun.
Hey, my
Uh,
audience hasn't heard it yet.
okay, very
Yeah,
good.
we haven't heard it yet.
Okay, well then here's a brand new story.
Yeah.
Well, in 2016, we played a music festival, which
Hmm.
was in San Francisco
Hmm.
at the Golden Gate Park. Somebody's there with you. Is that your wife? Who's
Yeah.
that? Tell her to come say hi.
Oh, Bill wants to say hi to you.
Hi.
He's
Did you hear
scared.
me?
He can't hear
Don't
you.
be scared. Come here. Tell her to come in. Don't
Listen,
be
I'm
scared.
gonna get off.
Don't be scared. Please come say hi. Just for a second. Just for a second. Just for a real quick
Say hi
second.
from across the room.
Hi,
Real
Bill.
quick. Hi. Put your hand. How about just put your hand in? There you are. Hi. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you by hand.
You too.
So yeah, 2016, we're doing a music festival, and the band is playing at this music festival, right? So, and it's a huge park in San Francisco, and there are different stages set up all around this park for different bands of play. So people will go to each group, like a Coachella, I guess, kind of thing, right? And so we go and we play a 25-minute set, performing different songs. In between in between a couple songs, we have some videos because we needed to rest, right? We're exhausted. Fortunately, Jane Gutnick, I don't know if you know that name, Jane Gutnick, who is one of the amazing workshop people who supervised and created all kinds of characters. She created these backpacks that we wore that had an arm that supported our elbows that came off of the backpack that we could move with and still perform with, but it helped us hold our arm. It took the weight of our arms to hold things up. So that was amazing. That helped a lot. So we did that show, and when we started, there was maybe 100 and some people kind of out. Like I looked out from behind, Dr. Teeth's keyboard and to see peek out there. A couple hundred people. So we started performing. By the time we were about halfway through, this huge lawn was filled. I'd never seen anything like it. And at the end, it got even bigger, packed. They said there were 30,000 people on this lawn watching us do this show. And I thought, well, that's interesting. People actually would come to see these guys. What if we took them on tour? So I wanted to, at the time with the Muppet Studios, I pitched the idea of us going on tour around the country. And yes, that sounded like a fun idea. But then I thought, well, what if it was a series, a TV series for Disney Plus about them going on tour? And so I created a presentation. I pitched it to the Muppet Studios, and we were excited. We were talking about it. And then the head of the Muppet Studios, that changed out. The people who now oversee the studio are different. And so I pitched it again to them. And they were excited about it. They loved the idea. Let's try and pursue this. So as we're talking about that, and Adam Goldberg and Jeff Yorks have an idea about a band show as well that they had been working on for about the same amount of time, since around 2016, I guess, or whenever, 17. The origins, I hope I don't get this wrong, but I think Jeff came to Adam with the idea, and Jeff created a trailer to help sell the idea, which actually is what our sequence, our the opening of the show is, right? When they go to the or our trail, our trail. Sorry, what am I talking about? Our trailers, right? That came out. How it started with I can't think of the words now. I'm doing a terrible job here. The title card came up. It says like, what happened to the band? It was that kind of setup. Oh, that was a terrible explanation. But anyway, the trailer he created became our trailer. Right. It was the same idea in a sense, but then we used footage from our show in it. But he brought that to Adam. They went and pitched the show, and they went to the Muppet Studios and pitched the idea. And the Muppet Studios said, "Oh, Bill Barretta is also working on an idea. So, well, let's put you guys together." And so the three of us got together and started talking about things. And one of the differences was, although they're similar in a lot of ways, was that their version was about the band making their first album. And I thought that was a much better kind of approach to a first season, and we all kind of loved that idea, and kind of got around that. And then we just started talking about, they had ideas for backstories for these characters, and I knew some of, obviously what we'd been working with over the years, and the stuff that happens behind the scenes that nobody ever talks about or sees, bringing that into the mix. And then just developing more fun ideas for the band. Characters hadn't been really used that much, obviously, right? So we did have a lot of work to come up with some strong backstories, and we bounced them off of the Muppet performers to get their input, which was great. So they all just came out of that. That's kind of where it all came from.
It's a good story because they stand alone without the rest of the Muppet gang in that series, and it's really strong because the band was always a really strong component in that whole Muppet thing, and they had their own show going on. I always say that, like the Electric Mayhem always had their own thing happening, and
Yeah. Well,
and yeah,
no,
go
no, I
ahead.
was just going to say, they functioned in the past more as a group,
Hmm.
you know, not so much as individuals, although you still know individually their characters and their
Hmm.
characteristics.
Hmm.
They tended to be used in a group joke
Hmm.
or to button the end of a scene or to
Hmm.
play music, obviously, right?
Hmm.
But as individuals, we didn't know that much about them. And so that was really fun for us to get to explore
hmm
all of that. Yeah.
and it's a good way to like I think it taps into a lot of things that people who even are musicians go through, like the kind of things that they go through, and especially like a band like that. Like I always like think of Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. They remind me so much of Dr. Hook and the medicine show.
Oh,
You
medicine
know that,
show.
but
I love that.
yeah, right.
Love them. We're
And
big rock singers. We got golden
yeah,
fingers and we love everywhere we go.
mhm,
That's right. We
yeah,
sing about beauty and we sing about truth at
mhm,
$10,000 a show. Right.
yep.
We take
Mhm.
all kinds of things to get us on. I love it.
Yeah, I love those guys. And
Yeah.
it's funny, and because Dr. Hook is a big part of like Jamaican and Caribbean culture, because and
Oh,
they didn't
really?
e- and they didn't even know that. It took
Right.
it took years later, right before Ray Sawyer, one of their singers, that's the guy with the eye patch, when he
Yeah.
like it was like 2 years before he passed away, to visit the Caribbean, to go to Jamaica and realize that,
Really?
yeah, and he did a tour there to go and realize that, hey, this is how far our music reached and we didn't even know, because
Wow.
it's a big part of it. And even like people don't know, like country music is a huge thing in the Caribbean. Like country music is huge, and people didn't know, like a lot of people don't know that. Like I was part of like the only country band in Trinidad, and we were like, we need a country band. We're gonna call those guys. And it was like just these retirees. Actually, I was the youngest
Hmm.
guy in the band, and there's the guys who have retired from being like cruise ship musicians and stuff, playing country
Wow.
music. And
Wow.
yeah, so again, for
I love
musicians,
Dr. Hook and the
yeah,
Medicine Show.
yeah, it feels like that. Even though like they have a lot of music out there and stuff, where did they go? What happened to them?
Right.
And it's the same feeling with Dr. Teeth. Like I think it gives that vibe. Like, what happened to the band? We'd like to
Yeah.
hear more about it. And
Yeah.
it's something that I think everybody played within their minds over the years. Like,
And I think, and I've never heard it said or never heard anybody talk about it, but I think that was part of the influence for Jim as well with
hmm
this band, because everybody goes to Dr. John
hmm
or Elton John, which I get, of
hmm
course,
hmm
right?
hmm
But I think what's interesting about Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show, and I've always thought about this too,
hmm
is that they, as a band, uh, sing, everybody kind of has a part, right? Where with
hmm
Dr. John and Elton John, they're lead singers.
yeah,
There aren't other band members that are
hmm
really joining in for
yeah,
lyrics and
hmm
things. And that's what I loved about Dr. Hook and the Medicine
yeah. And they have that dynamic that Dr. Hook and Floyd have, because
Yeah.
Dennis
Right.
and Ray, they both sing sometimes, and even other
Yep.
folks in the band would sing in the back. You never know.
Right.
Sometimes they have a song, and
Yep.
it even mirrors bands like the Eagles too, like the way they have
Yeah.
like different people sing at different times and stuff, and
And
it
Fleetwood Mac,
yeah, Fleetwood Mac, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for musicians, it's just, like, hey, this is fun. This is things that we go through, and you see that parallel in the things that happens in your band room and stuff.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
like that
You
they
just
they
made me. Oh, sorry. Go
uh-huh.
ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
you go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
Yeah.
no, no. You go ahead.
I can't remember what I was gonna say.
You were saying you like that they something.
Oh yeah, I like that they went back, and when they went back to the old house, that Penny's old house, and
Yeah.
they found stuff downstairs, like, hey, this was downstairs, and they gave all these cool callbacks to things that,
Including people.
yeah,
They found
yeah,
people
they found
downstairs.
people downstairs, yeah, like Cheech and Chong, like, hey, that's
Yeah.
where these guys were, you know.
Yeah. No, I was going to say totally
Uh-huh.
unrelated.
Yeah.
Uh, I went to Jamaica when I was a kid.
Hmm.
My mother took my brother and my grandmother and I,
Hmm.
and we stayed the Montego Bay Hotel. I don't even know if it's there anymore. And I got the worst sunburn poisoning ever in my life. And
Sunburn poisoning.
Yeah, like I was just burnt red, like bad. Couldn't move, pain. And I'll never forget, there was a man, his name was Fenton. He worked at the hotel, and he made this sugar water paste. And I was in the bathtub, and he helped put it on, and it pulled all of the heat out of it. And I'll never forget that. I don't know, you brought up, you said Jamaica, so it just popped into my head. You can cut that out too.
No,
but
it's fine.
I'll never forget Fenton. He was great.
Fenton was good people.
Yeah, boy. Yeah.
Wonder if Fenton's still around.
I don't know. He was.
I don't know.
I was like 6 or something.
Yeah, you never know.
A long time ago.
Yeah, he live a long time down there, Laid back lifestyle. Yeah.
I hope he is.
Yeah. Cheers to Fenton.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked a lot. We got a lot done.
Yeah, are you good? How do we feel?
I think we did a whole hour there of talking, and I think we're gonna have to do some more of this some other time because we didn't get all those stories out.
Well, we can do a part 2 if you like, if you have time and you want to try it again.
We could do it sometime again. But you know what? Okay. It was nice having you this time. And,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm glad you did this. You're probably, like my idea was to actually get you for my last episode, but I don't know when that's gonna be. So you know what? I'll get you now while you're probably on a break and not doing anything else.
We'll come back for the last one.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get Gene there.
There you go.
Yeah,
yes, there you go.
That guy Gene.
Yeah. Terrible. Again, good luck with that.
But he's been awesome,
Yeah.
I've messaged Gene all the time and mess with him and stuff. Yeah. He allows me to. I was gonna say, I'm the guy that always proposes to people on your show.
Oh,
I don't know if you remember that. I would. The first person I proposed to was Jane Gutnick, and Jane told him he lives in Trinidad. He lives in the Caribbean. And she's like, "Hey, that sounds like a good time."
Oh wow!
Yeah, I throw weird things. I'm also the guy that.
Well, now I'll know.
Yeah, now you know I'm that guy. But I come up on YouTube at Esracal Productions. I'm the guy who threw it out to Brian Henson. Hey, please hire me. That was funny. Last week
good.
At Mahoning.
Yeah.
That
was funny. Yeah. That was great.
He seemed to like that.
Oh yeah, no, it was great.
You got to do those things. So tell me, what's new? What's gonna happen next? What could we expect before we close the show? Plug something in.
I wish I could. Everything because of the writer's strike is on hold.
Oh no.
So I can't really even talk about stuff that we're kind of hoping to do. So I wish I could. I wish I could say that there's a new season and there's all this and there's all that, but it just wouldn't be the truth.
No.
We just keep we're prepping, just thinking about things, as they things to do, more things to come.
Maybe you bring back that vlog you did with the bear. I can't remember his name, but he looked.
Oh, you like Bernie?
Bernie the bear. You did that.
Oh,
but
Jules. I did Jules.
It's Jules. Yeah. I remember that. Like I stumbled upon that one day just on YouTube. I was like, "Hey, what's this?" And you were live.
Yeah, that was definitely a COVID thing with I did with my son. Yeah. And I have some other things that I'm trying to do with that character.
It was good.
Good. I'm glad you liked him.
Well, I won't keep you any longer. I'm sure this is part of your holiday weekend still going on into Tuesday.
No, just work. It's work, stuff. There's still other things to do.
Okay.
Yeah. But thank you. I really loved it. Thanks so much for asking me.
Thank you for coming and being part of my show, and we'll see you again, Bill.
All right, buddy.
Peace and love
Take
to
care.
You. Yeah.
All right, same.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Esracal Productions and Jungle Lodge Gypsy Caravan presents Puppet Safari Puppet Slam, funded in part by the Puppet Slam Network. Come perform a 1 to 3 minute Too Short to Suck Puppet Slam piece for the first Puppet Slam in Trinidad and Tobago. Come make history with us and share your puppetry with the Puppet Slam Network and the world. For more information, like and subscribe to our social media channels, Esracal Productions, Unima Trinidad and Tobago, on Facebook and Instagram.